Before we get into another ratings update for the Olympics, and I also have the NBA draft ratings for the other night. But before we get into all that, I wanted to share another milestone. Maybe a week and a half ago, the channel surpassed the 3,000 subscriber mark. Yesterday, we made it past 4,000 subscribers. And we didn't just make it, we blew right by it. When I woke up this morning, we were already at 4,300. And if we continue to grow at this rate, we might be at 5,000 by the end of the week. I don't know where all the growth is coming from. The channel's growing faster than I ever imagined it could. It took over a year to reach 2,000 subscribers. We have added that amount in the last 4 to 6 weeks, and we added 1,000 in the last week alone. Now, like I always say, it's not me, it's you guys. You guys do a great job of sharing the content. I really appreciate it. Thank you for sharing it with your friends, your family, your social media following. Thank you for the kind words in the comment section, the emails over the weekend. We're going to keep doing what we do every day here on the channel, and that's call out any and all things woke in sports. All right, let's get into it. I have the ratings for the Olympics for you from over the weekend, or at least Friday anyway. I also have ratings for the NBA draft from Thursday. But let's go ahead and get into the Olympics first. Executives at NBC have got to be freaking out right now. Going into the Tokyo Olympics, it was expected that ratings were going to be down compared to 2016. Everyone knew that. But I don't think anyone at NBC expected to see a ratings decline like we have seen thus far for the Olympics. 10 to 20% would be considered a massive decline in ratings. With the Olympics, that percentage of a decline would represent a loss of 3 to 6 million viewers. That would be bad, but NBC could live with that. They wouldn't be talking about giving sponsors free ad time with a 10 to 20% ratings decline. What we are seeing with the Olympics this year is far, far worse. We're talking 55 to 60% declines, and it is not going to get better. If losing viewership is the end goal, NBC should send flowers and a thank you card to Saunders and Gwen. The stunts they pulled yesterday ruined any hope of regular common sense Americans giving the Olympics a chance. People don't tune into the Olympics to watch a woman with purple and green hair teach their children about mythical oppression. They don't tune in to see women on their knees before a soccer match. If people wanted to see that, there is plenty of free porn available on the internet. If you like soccer, you tune in to watch the best in the world play soccer. You're not watching for a political demonstration. This past Friday, NBC averaged 10.5 million viewers in prime time for the Olympics. By far, the least watched day of 2021. I couldn't find enough historical data in terms of daily ratings, but if I had to guess, the ratings for Friday night are likely some of the lowest in the history of the Olympics. America is clearly uninterested in what NBC is presenting. But people like Gwen, they're not worried, they're not concerned. She said yesterday she's going to continue fighting against oppression. Hey, it's me, Gwen. Whoops, nobody's caring. If you include streaming numbers, around 15 million people tuned into the Olympics Friday night. Pitiful. Pitiful. Thursday was the second most watched day of the Olympics so far in 2021, with only 16.2 million interested enough to watch. I don't know of another way to say this. This is a complete disaster for NBC. I saw a report over the weekend. NBC's already offering free ad time to sponsors for NFL games this season. We talked about this the other day. That's their only option. The only other programming NBC has that equals the audience that the Olympics draws is the NFL. Sunday Night Football routinely draws 15-20 million viewers. Ad time during NFL games is expensive. NBC does not want to be giving it away for free, but they don't have a choice. They've also offered free ad time on Peacock, their streaming service, but that is not going to cut it with advertisers. NBC's bragging that they have 54 million subscribers right now on Peacock, but give it another week. That number is going to fall dramatically. Most of their subscriber base came for the Olympics. Before July, Peacock had just 10 million paying subscribers. The media is doing their best to spin this disaster into something positive. Now, I will give the media a little bit of credit. Most of the headlines are truthful, stating the near record low ratings for NBC in the Olympics. But once you read the articles, you will see that they are grasping at straws, trying to find something positive with the ratings. 1/3 of the American population has watched the Olympics. NBC has reached over 100 million people so far. How the hell did they come up with that number? I mean, the media might be right. I couldn't find a way to verify if 1/3 of the country actually has tuned in for the Olympics, or if they just added up the daily audience throughout the week and came up with that number. I'm not going to go into the reason that America's not watching the Olympics. We have covered that extensively over the last week. I don't want to repeat myself, but this is an example of a few people ruining it for everybody else. I feel bad for most of the American athletes competing in the Olympics. These people bust their ass for years to get to this point. This only happens every 4 years. These athletes deserve to be watched. They deserve for Americans to care about them. The media's constant promotion of Gwen, Megan Rapinoe, now Raven Saunders, Laurel Hubbard, Elena Smith, it ruins things for the real American athletes that people would support. I have spent hours trying to find ratings for the U.S. women's soccer team, who, by the way, lost again last night. This team was on a 44-game winning streak entering the Olympics. Suddenly, Megan Rapinoe becomes a star in the woke community. She becomes a beacon of hope for people without a strong father figure in their life. And the women's soccer team wins just 1 of 5 games in the tournament. Megan Rapinoe was asked why the women's team was struggling so much. She said, "We haven't had our joy. This hasn't been easy." That shouldn't be surprising. Wokeism is notorious for sucking the joy out of everything. Have you ever met a woker that was happy? The agenda is predicated on making everyone miserable. Megan Rapinoe has been more concerned with getting women equal pay in sports to men than winning on the field. Which brings me back to the television ratings for the women's team. I cannot find them. If someone knows where we can find the ratings, email them to me at btlkc84@gmail.com. If I had to guess, women's soccer has been broadcast exclusively on Peacock. If the games were on NBC or USA, ratings would be readily available. Now, the ratings are still known to NBC if they were streamed. They release streaming numbers when they reflect positively. If people were flocking to Peacock to watch Megan Rapinoe, NBC would release the ratings. They're not releasing them because no one is watching. Overall, NBC has lost 15 to 20 million viewers for the Olympics just from 2016. That's about the size of Tokyo and New York City combined. It wouldn't surprise me if ratings dropped below 10 million going into this week with the increase of politics that happened over the weekend. I found something interesting I wanted to share with you before we get to the NBA draft. According to a recent poll, only 33% of Americans believe Olympic athletes should be allowed to protest. When you break it down, only 7% of Republicans want political protest, while 55% of Democrats do. I wonder why. Could it be that the protests we see are heavily woke, heavily one-sided? Have you seen one Republican protest at the Olympics? Consequently, 39% of Democrats said they're watching the Olympics, while just 29% of Republicans are watching. All right, let's go ahead and get to the ratings for the NBA draft before we get out of here. The NBA draft drew just over 2 million viewers Thursday night. The media is reporting this is great news. NBA draft up 6%. But just like with the playoffs, just like with the NBA Finals, this is not a fair comparison. The draft aired in November last year, opposite Thursday Night Football. Of course, the NBA was competing with the Olympics this year, but no one's watching that anyway. When you compare the 2021 draft to 2019, when Zion Williamson was drafted, the NBA is down 27%, or nearly a million viewers. What makes it even worse? The 2019 draft was broadcast on ESPN and ESPNU. This year, for the first time, the NBA draft was carried on ABC, broadcast television. ABC is available in damn near every household in the country. No one cared. You could point to a variety of reasons for the low ratings for the NBA draft: competition from the Olympics, lack of star power in the draft, but we all know the real reason. The NBA has ruined its reputation. They have ruined their public image. In the past, when people thought about the NBA, they thought about the greatness of Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Steve Nash, just name a star. But in 2021, when people think about the NBA, they think of social justice. I guess LeBron James accomplished his mission. All right, we got a lot more content coming your way later today and all week this week. We might get into Laurel Hubbard later today, but for now, time to let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts on the possibly record low ratings for the Olympics. And with the increase of political protest over the weekend from Raven Saunders and Gwen, do you think the audience will drop below 10 million this week? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.